Hey everybody, hope you're doing great. Just gonna do a test real quickly. Perfect. All right, we're working this time. Awesome. Hey everybody, hope you're doing great. It's Candle Nightmaker here. I just wanted to come on live today to share a few stories, and one of the ones I want to share today is the story about how I got into business, and um, it's one I get asked a lot because I mentor a lot of people. I'm coaching as a business coach right now, and a lot of my clients ask me the story of how I got into business and how do I got into all these different things. Okay, um, so in order to do that, I'll give you a background of who I am, where I come from, and so on. Okay, so again, my name is Kendall. I come from Sweetgrass First Nation. I am the oldest in my from my mother of three younger sisters, right? And so my mother, when I was about 6 years old, we moved to Sweetgrass, and my mom did everything she could to raise us the best way that she knew how. And one of the things that would always keep me, I guess, occupied as a young kid was sports, and in particular, it was soccer. And so as a kid, playing soccer all the time, it was my gateway, I would call it, in terms of I would focus my energy into that sport, and whatever career you decide to go on, okay, whatever path you decide to go on, the mindset of an athlete is very much similar to business and how you think about things. And what I mean by that is when people play sports, they kind of focus in onto that sport for that for how many minutes you're playing that sport. You're trying to do the best possible job, and the more competitive and the more hardcore you are at that sport, the more hyper focused you are in it. So in business, it's like the same thing. So I was able to channel that mindset from being a young athlete into business. And so as a kid, I'd be playing soccer all the time, and then eventually, when I became a teenager, it channeled into volleyball and then badminton and other sports and so on. But volleyball became the sport in high school that allowed me to take what I had and use something with it. I'll make something very clear here that when I was in high school, I was never an 80 student. I never had 90s. Okay, that was not me. I had a hard time in high school. I was a kid that just scraped by. Okay, so um, I want to make that very clear. Even in the university days, I was lucky to get a 70. Okay, and so school wasn't my strength. It was sports at that time, and so I would use these sports to have something to look forward to. So when I was a in high school, and I was trying to use what I had from sports and to use it into to whatever I could channel into. Um, I want to make something very clear, and one of the things that really helped me when I was a young person was that I had something to look forward to every day. I had some kind of sport to look forward to, and a lot of us, the reason why we can't get somewhere is because we don't have something to look forward to. The reason why we lose motivation is because we lack something to look forward to. So if you're finding yourself in a rut, if you're finding yourself um, uninspired, go back and see what you like to do and re-put that into your life more. For me, it was for so long. For example, through quarantine, we'll say, okay. Um, I struggled, mentally, physically throughout the whole thing, and I started golfing when the golf courses came open. I still golf, and I was like, man, I missed golfing, and so it gave me something to look forward to, which was golf. And everyone's different. Some of you, it's arts and crafts. Some of you, it's teaching. Some of you, it's homemaking. Some of you, it's working in your garden. Some of you, it's whatever it might be, lawn care, and so on. The key is you want something to look forward to, because when you have something that you look forward to that you truly like to do, it gives you something to work towards every single day. And that's where I think a lot of us struggle. And I could tell you so many times where um, I went through that, and it's not a fun experience. Okay, so sports was my gateway. It allowed me to have something to look forward to. And into high school, same thing. It gave me something to look forward to. So going through high school and so on, I was looking forward to playing sports all the time. Sports allowed me to graduate high school. I graduated with just enough marks. Sports allowed me to get into college. I took that sport of volleyball. I went to go and play in Alberta, played for 2 years of volleyball, and went through a lot of hardships, I guess you would call it. Being a young person, being a young man, First Nations in a different city, it was still totally different. And so I had to learn to grow up really quickly there, live away from my mom, my family, and so on. And I came home 2 years later, and I eventually moved to Saskatoon, where I got into the University of Saskatchewan. They call it the ITEP program, the Indian Teacher Education Program. And so in that moment, I said, man, I'm going to become a phys ed teacher. I like to play sports. I would love to coach. That's going to be my path, I said. And so I embarked on trying to become a phys ed teacher, trying to become a teacher. I thought that was going to be my path. So 2007, I moved to Saskatoon. I'm all set up to go to ITEP, take these classes, and become a teacher. So I'm going through every day, going to classes and so on. And I want to time out really quickly. Whatever path that you're on, whoever's watching this right now, okay? Sometimes there's going to be things that will work for you, and sometimes there will be things that will come and be a roadblock for you, a problem, an obstacle. Sometimes the path that we embark on isn't really is setting up the foundation for the next step in your life, okay? And what I mean by that is I thought I was going to become a phys ed teacher. I was 100% sold on it. I was going after it. And then, 90 degrees later, I was on a different path, okay? And it didn't come till my last year of university when I started entering business competitions. Now, think of it this way. Who actually enters a business competition studying to become a teacher, and all of a sudden they said they're going to get into business? I don't think many people would actually say they've ever done that. And so at that moment, I had a mindset of, I can't do that. I can't start a business. Why would, there's never been a teacher who started a business. That was a story I made up in my mind. And so as a young person, I was going through those motions of thinking like that. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to show up to these workshops. I'm going to learn how to do this business. I'm going to, seek mentors and so on. So eventually I was able to, seek enough help from people and mentors and so on. I wrote a business plan. I put it together, entered all these competitions in Saskatchewan and eventually beyond Saskatchewan about how do I get this clothing company called Nietzsche Gear up and running? How do I do that? And so I didn't know a whole lot, but I showed up every single day trying to learn, trying to soak up as much knowledge as I can from these people, these workshop facilitators and so on. And every time I would tell the story over and over again, people would do double takes like, what? That's different. That's different. And so I knew I had something there. I had a product, I had a story, I had a purpose behind it. And so every time I would show up to these competitions and I wrote my business plan, I entered these competitions. I have to show up and do like a business pitch, just like Dragon's Den, just like Shark Tank. And I would tell the story, how my best friend in grade 5 helped me to take part in soccer. And over the course of that relationship that we had, him and his family, he gave me rides to games and practices. They paid for my fees, and it ignited something within me, a passion of sports. That passion led to all these different ripple effects, if you would call it that. Playing, getting a chance to finish high school, go to college, play some volleyball, come to university, finish 2 degrees, and I'll eventually start these businesses. That was the ripple effect. I had something that I was able to do, which was sports. Many people take for granted, but it allowed me to use what I had, which was, that was one of my gifts, if you would call it. And so I was able to use that in a creative way and play sports and have something to look forward to every day. So every time I would tell that to all these competitions and so on, I was able to give a presentation that was not just different from everyone else, but also it had an emotional connection. And that's where I want to share with you a lot of the magic is, I guess we'll call it that. If you want to create a persuasive presentation, whatever it is that you're trying to produce, okay? You have to tell a meaningful story through that presentation. If you don't tell a meaningful story that hooks them emotionally, they are going to forget you just as quickly as you came in. So you have to create a story. You have to tell a story that creates an emotional connection between you and that audience, that the people that you're speaking to. And that's very much the same thing that I do when I go and do keynotes, when I do whether it's live or virtually and so on. It's an emotional connection between myself and them. And the more I can create that emotional connection, the greater that message will stay for them for a long period of time. And that's where that magic is. That's where persuasion is. Okay, you want to create something. You want to you're in a job interview. Same thing. You have to create that emotional connection somehow. So you have to make yourself stand out somehow with that. And I'll talk about that in different live streams as we go. But that's one of the things I coach my clients with, is how to tell those right stories that hook people in and get them leaning at the edge of their seats just watching you and wanting to learn more and listen and ask questions. That's what you want to tell. Okay? All right. Is this helping so far? Let me know in the comments. I know there's a lot of you tuning in right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Great to see all of you. You can follow me on Instagram at CandleNetMaker. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. You want me to work with you, send me a message about working together. I'm helping a lot of entrepreneurs through this time. A lot of fun. Okay. All right. So that was the spark, I guess we'll call it. Okay. That was the spark, if you will, that allowed me to take what I had and allowed me to do something with it. And so when I was going through all this stuff, we'll call it, okay, when I was going through these business competitions, trying things out and so on, it forced me to get outside my comfort zone, So I want to time out really quickly. The speaker that you see right now on the screen is not the speaker that you had seen 10 years ago, okay? Over 10 years ago, I got my journey started. When I first started, I had a hard time doing this stuff. I just could not speak in front of people. I was terrified, just terrified, to the point where I would try talk myself out of showing up to a class presentation. That's how bad it was. And so what got me over that fear or at least helped the fear, was I confronted it. I said, I know I'm going to be scared, but I'm just going to show up anyway. What's the point of fighting it? I'm just going to go into it. Even if I'm scared, I'm going to keep showing up. Well, I'm going to try to get better and better. And the more I would just show up, and I would stumble, I would stutter, I would go over I would have a hard time pronouncing words. I just kept showing up again and again and again. And if there's one thing that you could take from this presentation today, if you ever have to do a presentation in front of someone else, if you ever have to do a presentation in front of a group of people in class, for business or for whatever it might be, maybe you have to do a podium speech, okay? I want to share with you probably the most valuable tip out of all this. Tell a story that relates from you to that audience. Something that you can just say off the top of your head. You don't have to memorize it, okay? Tell a story that has a meaningful connection between yourself and that audience, something that you've gone through, or maybe you've witnessed, or so on. Something there that you can relay to them on a microphone that gives them something to be inspired about, give them something to look forward to, and so on. Something that only you can tell a certain way. Tell them that story, okay? Because the story I just told you is one of the stories I tell in almost every presentation I speak on, of how my best friend helped me in grade 5. I always tell that story. And that's a story I went through that's unique to me. Everyone has unique stories. Everyone has unique circumstances that they've gone through. And if there's another thing I want to share with you, the deeper the story, the bigger the impact, okay? The more vulnerable you get on a stage, the bigger the impact for that audience. The bigger you're going to help those people out there. Okay? So I hope that helps. That's one of my the things that I share with a lot of people is how important it is to tell those stories. And so when I was going through this business and I was trying things out and I was launching Nietzsche Gear, I was able to compete in a lot of these competitions. And Over the course of all those years, there was this first how many months of competing. Um, the first 6 months, we were able to get about 32,000 roughly in cash, services, and so on. Over the next 3 years, it was almost 100,000 in cash, services, and so on, in prizes that we had won to grow Nietzsche Gear. And that was just myself throwing myself into all these competitions, showing up, entering with a business plan. The biggest competition we ever won was 20K in Phoenix, Arizona. That was many years ago. But I showed up with a pitch, with a business plan, and I was the only one from Canada that showed up. And like I said, you got to throw yourself out there. You have to throw yourself out there again and again. You never know what's going to happen. So many people will talk themselves out of it, but not yourself, okay? Keep showing up. Keep trying it, because you never know what's going to happen from that result. So through the early years of Nietzsche Gear, it was out of my one-bedroom apartment. Myself, my wife, Rachel, and my newborn son, Keanu. He would watch a lot of people coming through our apartment, buzzing up to our apartment on the east side of Saskatoon in a little apartment there. And so they would come in, they would buzz up, and they would buy out of my closet. And my son would be crawling around all these customers, and he was watching them come in. And so that was like the birth of my business, was selling out of my apartment, selling my hoodies, selling my t-shirts, my hats, and so on. I went to all these events. I sold out my backpack and so on, going to all these different places. From there to a little office in Saskatoon and so on. And so many things happen. Actually, I have an image here. Let's pop up. This is the actual thing right here, okay? This is like I guess kind of part of the evolution. That's how it all started, was that apartment, from those competitions to doing all these different things, okay? So in many years later, 2011 to about, I would say 2016, I made a decision that I was going to speak more. And I was going to do more keynotes. I was going to do more events, and I was going to try help people. And I got into the speaking business, and so I started doing speaking, started doing tons of keynotes, workshops, trainings, and so on. I published my book, Driven to Succeed. You could see it in the back over there, right there, Driven to Succeed. You can get that on Amazon. And so, I started doing other programs over here, like The Leader Within. That's one of my Audible programs. You can listen to it as an audiobook. I started doing coaching, mentoring with other people, started working with different businesses and so on, small business owners, helping them through this time. And especially during this time right now, everything's adapting so quickly online at such a rapid pace that we're all forced to keep up with everything. So all of my coaching has been on the phone through Zoom. Most of my speaking has been like this, being here in my office, in my studio, and doing it through this production, the way that we're doing it, okay? So much has changed. So much has evolved through all this. And I just wanted to say that whoever's watching this right now, whoever you want to watch this, I really, 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 really want to emphasize that myself, my journey, including so many other people out there, the people that I work with and so on, people I don't even know, it's all very similar in terms of this. There's one thing that separates those people from most others, okay? It's the fact that they just show up. We all have limiting beliefs. We all think the same way about ourselves at times. We all think that we can't do it. We all have the same little things that pop in our mind. It's the fact that those people out there, they say, I'm not going to listen to that. I can hear you, but I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to show up anyway. Those are the people that find ways to win. And I know that all of you watching this have gifts, talents, and abilities, and a great purpose of living in this world. And whatever that is for you, you're going to feel that. Go after that. Do what makes you happy. And you're always going to have those limiting beliefs pop up once in a while. People will come and say, why are you doing that? And so on. Don't listen. You know what? You don't have to listen to that stuff. You can hear it. Doesn't mean you have to accept it. Go after it. Put your head down. I was just talking with one of my clients this morning. Talked about putting his head down, just going after it. Putting his head down, going after it. That's what you want to do when you're going after a dream, when you're trying to create a business, when you're trying to create a project and so on. Okay? So I hope that helps, and I hope that all of you are doing amazing. It's Kendall Netmaker here, and I just want to share that story because I get asked that question quite a bit about how I got into business and how I became a speaker, how did I write books, how did I do online courses, all that type of stuff. And so I wanted to share that with you to hopefully inspire you to keep moving forward, to akamemo, to persevere. And regardless of how bad things are or how bad things get, keep moving forward. Don't listen to negative people. Keep moving forward. Put your head down. Go after your dream. Go after that thing you want to start. Because the more that you do live your dream and go after things, the more you're leading. You're in alignment with what your purpose is here, and it's a feeling that you have. So go after it. Right? That's part of why we're all here. Is we're here to grow and to go after things, and it's a feeling that we all have. Keep moving forward. Good luck. If you have any questions, you want to work with me, you want to get coached by me, reach out to me, message me anytime. I am here. Have an amazing day.